Hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to this webinar, which I'm really excited to be presenting to you guys today because I think it's an absolutely important, very important topic that we'll be covering off today, which is about evaluating properties and numbers that we want to look at when we start to evaluate properties, some of the calculations. So lots to cover off today. Now, I do see that the chat is going, and Carol, thank you as always for your energy in the chat, but I'd love to hear from all of you guys that are joining us live today. I do love hearing where you're joining us from today. There's a couple of names there that I do recognize, so it is great to have you guys along. And like I said, really looking forward to being able to share with you guys today's webinar because I think it is a really, really cool one in terms of some of the ideas. Awesome. So when you guys get a moment, jump in the chat, let me know that that's all working, and also that you can hear me, because that's always a good thing as well. You can see a couple of cameras on. That's brilliant. Cameras on is also nice, so I get to see your faces as we present. For those of you that don't know me, my name is John O'Frankel, and I am one of the mentors at Wealth Mentor, as well as that I head up the property side, and as well as that I'm actually CEO of the company. So I do wear a few hats within Wealth Mentor, but love actually coming in and presenting, because teaching for me is one of my real passions, and being able to share the knowledge that I got imparted on me by attending a Wealth Mentor event, and now I get to share that same thing with you guys today. So really, really excited to rip into it. Like I said, we do have a lot to cover off today. I'm going to share as much as I can. Now, please bear in mind that we do have an hour today, and I'll share as much as I possibly can within the hour. But for those of you that want to learn more, we've obviously got some options there for you guys to continue your growth and your education. So today, what we will be covering off on how to evaluate a property deal. It's pretty important. And I was having a great chat yesterday to a solicitor, property solicitor, around property, and she admits, she goes, I understand property from a legal standpoint, I understand every part of it, but that's the extent as to what I know. I don't understand or know the property from an investment standpoint and how you look and evaluate deals, never mind the renovations. So really what we want to do is we want to look at how we analyze property as a whole investment principle. And let's be honest, we all know property. Every single one of us today is sitting in a property as we listen to this webinar. But is that really property as an investment vehicle, as a vehicle that's going to be able to create the retirement that you desire, the financial freedom, the actual increase in your wealth? So today I'm going to be talking about some numbers, key numbers, and when you come to evaluating a property deal, as well as that when my slide clicks over, thank you. I'm going to jump onto some cash flow calculation. I'm going to show you guys how you run your numbers to figure out your cash flow. Is that property making you money, or is it losing your money? I'm going to share with you two formulas that I want you to make sure that you take away from today. Two formulas that you need to ensure that you're on top of when you're running your deals. One of the formulas is really that initial analysis of a property, and the other one is going to be looking at a little bit more down the track as to how hard your money is working for you. Couple of different strategies that we have in place as well. And like always, I love sharing a couple of recent examples of students that are doing some deals. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys three separate deals, separate strategies today, which will be really, really cool. So let's carry on. Before we do get into it, I know that some of you have seen me speak before, and some of you have spent some time with me, but I do like to introduce myself anyway. For those of you that have heard me introduce myself, too bad. It's my time. I'm unmuted, not you guys. But number one for me is my family. I'm very much do everything I can within the wealth creation side within property investment is for my family. My first taster of property was actually on a reality TV show, which was a lot of fun, pretty stressful, but pretty, I guess, invigorating towards what property can do for an individual and for a family and for generations around you as well. And I'll get to that. So definitely that gave me a bit of an excitement around property. And that's when I then found the team at Wealth Mentor, gone through and then ended up as the head of property and CEO of the company. This has been a pretty crazy journey. I kind of have to pinch myself sometimes at that journey, to be honest, because it seems a little bit surreal that I'm now here presenting to you guys when I was just like you guys and jumping on and watching. As well as that, obviously, I've been in a mentor with Wealth Mentor, worked with hundreds of amazing students and seeing some huge results, and that's hugely satisfying. Big fan of sport. Come on, we have to get a win tonight for those All Blacks. Hey, let's get those positive vibes. For those of you watching the recording, hopefully you're like, yeah, we got that win. No worries whatsoever. So looking forward to that one for sure. Another part of the wealth creation journey is understanding what wealth is for you guys as an individual. And we go on about this at Wealth Mentor a lot, but it is so important to understand that wealth for you. What is that wealth concept for you as an individual? This is wealth to me, and summed up in 4 pictures. Almost said 5. 4 pictures there. My family, my daughters, Harley and Isla, absolutely amazing. My parents, I owe them so much for the sacrifices they made moving out from South Africa to create a better life for my kids. That was when we went down to Queenstown just a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of months ago, should I say, and mum and dad, the first time that they've actually stood in falling snow, and the joy on mum's face is absolutely amazing. So love that. My parents are huge inspiration. Love teaching, and I love a bit of fly fishing. So definitely that's a little bit about me. Love my sport, love my family. Teaching is something that I absolutely love, so really enjoy being here, even though it's a Saturday morning and the family wants to get out there and get into things. So great to be here. I want to start off with, and this slide is a little bit blank at the moment, but I want to start off, guys, with just illustrating what an opportunity we've got in front of us right now. I do recognize a couple of names on there, and I know that you guys are jumping in, taking the opportunity now to really analyze and look at the opportunities in terms of deals we've got in front of us. But really what we've got is property has gone on sale. Property has gone on sale. And it's the first time for a little while, because we have seen a whole lot of different changes. So really what we've got is property on sale. And this should be exciting, because the property has gone on sale for a number of reasons. First of all, I guess we've got the fact that there's a lot of negative noise in the media. We've seen interest rates climb. We've seen some changes in legislation, which has made it a little bit more complicated and a little bit trickier to make as much of an impact on your cash flow without the knowledge behind you. So there's been some changes that have occurred, supply issues, and it's created a little bit of an opportunity for those of you that are in the know, that have set yourselves up, that are working correctly and buying the right types of property. So that really is exciting. But for most people, it's created a situation where the housing market is running a little bit scared. I love that image, by the way. I'm so stoked when I found that image. Because what we've got a fear around property. Now, that fear, like I mentioned before, is often driven around media, and it's often driven around discussions. Think about the discussions that you've been having with people on a day-to-day basis around property. Those that are in the know are confident, excited, are looking at the ability to create wealth. You hear about how many of the world's billionaires have created their wealth through times like this. But then you talk to your barbecue mafia, shall we say, how else to put it, and how's the negative stigma around property, and that's all around us. I even hear it sometimes creep in from some of our more experienced investors, where they go, you almost feel the negativity come upon you, but then your logic ticks over and you go, actually, no, that makes no sense whatsoever. Because you'll read an article, property prices could crash 40%. You're like, oh man, why would I want to be getting into property? But then you go, oh, it could crash. And it's by an economist that has predicted the last, 2 of the last 150 crashes that they've predicted, they got right. So it's taking that all into account. Now, there's another really important topic or concept I need you guys to think about whenever you read some of the articles in the paper. Whenever you read any, is understand the exclusiveness of that story to a specific area, a specific strategy, and a specific type of market. That there is very, very important. As soon as you look at every single article down those lenses, you will start to identify that it is so specific on those areas, on those markets, and on those strategies. And that then comes back to the key concept, which is understand your area. This is not a time to be running scared. This is a time where we've got an opportunity where knowledge can make sure that we can create the wealth for ourselves. Because, well, property goes on sale, we're all like, hey, no, this is ridiculous, I'm not interested. But I love using Briscoes as an example. Who's ever bought anything at full price at Briscoes? For those Aussies on the call, I don't know. You have Briscoes there? I don't think you do. Why would you ever pay full price at Briscoes? So, in that regard, you're always looking at opportunities. But when Briscoes has a sale, or any other mall has a sale, Boxing Day sales, you end up with this situation. But when property comes on sale, we're all freak out a bit. But you know what? I think the key point is making sure that you have a clear prediction in front of you, exactly what's going to be happening in front of you. And luckily, this morning, got up, had a shower, grabbed the crystal ball, and made sure I have a really, really clear prediction for you guys as to what is going to be happening in the property market, because I know that you guys are here to hear that. So let's run through it. First of all, the property prices probably could go down. They may go up in certain areas, and they could even stay the same. So what I'm basically saying, and I know this is just like, John, stop being an idiot. What this is saying is, don't try to time the market. Don't try to predict the market. Understand the property as it stands in its simplicity and its state right now. That's really what I'm trying to say to you guys. Now, all jokes aside, we could be seeing the market start to rise back out of the little dip that we've had. A couple of reasons that I could see that happening. Number one is we're still a huge amount of houses short. Latest stats from one of our key mentors is we're about 117,000 houses short still. And we can only produce around 35,000 houses per year. So we're still really, really short there. Borders are starting to open up again. We're starting to see people come in again, which will it's simple economics, supply and demand. And one more thing that really we should consider is the amount of people in emergency and social housing, emergency housing, should I say, and the shortage of people for social housing. At the moment, we have around 30,000 people in New Zealand living in motels and hotels. 30,000 people. When you think about that, that is just nuts, and it just illustrates the shortage of houses and probably how well motel and hotel owners are doing through this shortage of having all those rooms available. Now, markets move, markets shift. Like I said, we've got the overall market of New Zealand or the world. We've also got our individual markets of our regions of Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch. But then we also have our more micro regions, which is within those areas. So you could even look at Auckland, how different parts of Auckland are responding slightly differently as well. I love showing this graph because what it shows us is that over the sort of, what do we got there, 15 years or so, we've seen values almost triple. So, climb quite drastically. But what we do see is that little dip there between 2007 and 2009, which was the GFC. So that GFC that came in was obviously the biggest global financial crisis where prices had the biggest impact. We saw a huge adjustment in values. The biggest adjustment that we saw was 10%. 10%. And a little bit of inside knowledge is that when you're buying property, you should be looking to create 20% in the situation of buying. Now, that might be confusing to you, and if it is, that's fine, because I have ways of you understanding that. It's all good, but really, it's not a huge drop when you look at it. And to be fair, if we drop 10%, what that's probably going to take us back to January. If that. So it's not a huge issue for us right now, but it's making sure that we understand the values when we get in and buy. Now, we're probably going to see the property market start to adjust really shortly. But you know what? If you are waiting for the Herald to tell you that the property market has adjusted or is starting to climb again, you're probably 3 months, 6 months too late. So make sure that you are in the know with the right people around you to make sure that you are gaining that knowledge to make the informed decisions as we go forward. Which leads me to one of my favorite little tips, and make sure if you don't have this written somewhere or screenshot or something that you grab this: buy property price buy as if property prices will never increase. There's two parts that are key when you're looking at buying a property. Number one is how much money is that property generating for you from a cash flow standpoint. And at the same time, what sort of equity are you able to create through the purchase in terms of value? So cash flow and value, very, very important. Those two concepts are what separates your average investor from your educated investor. One of the key parts there was cash flow. Now, to be able to establish cash flow, you would run a cash flow analysis. I'm going to show you how to do that. But there's a quick way that you can gauge as to whether a property is generally a higher income earner, or what its income is like relative to the purchase of the property. And that is running a calculation called your gross yield. Now, for those of you that don't know your gross yield, you really want to have this down packed. Like, you can run it in the back of your head, and I'm going to give you a little trick as well as to how you can run in the back of your head. But really what it is, it's comparing your annual rent compared to your purchase price. How hard is the property working in terms of income relative to the purchase of the property? So what we do is we take our annual rent, we divide that by our purchase price, multiply it by 100, giving us our gross yield. So generally, we're looking for our students to be buying anything 6, 7, 8 plus is the numbers that we're looking to achieve, which generates good solid cash flow. Let me show you an example as to how the numbers are worked out from a gross yield standpoint so that you've got that. So I'm taking a really simple calculation here. I've taken $500,000 purchase price and a $500 per week rent. So how does that stack up from a gross yield standpoint? First of all, we'll take our annual rent. So we multiply that 500 by 52 to give us 26,000. We divide that by our purchase price of 500,000, and we multiply by 100, giving us a 5.2% gross yield. Remember, our students are looking at anything 6 is on the low side. We're looking at 6 if there's some really good equity on it. We're looking at more than that. So really that starts to give you a gauge as to what sort of rent compared to purchase price we should be looking to work to. I said I'd give you a little trick. If it's 500 and 500, 500,000, but 500 and 500, it's about 5%. Same again, $1 million purchase, $1,000 per week rent, it's about 5%. It's actually 5.2 exactly, but it's around that 5%. So that gives you a way of gauging quite quickly when you look at properties, how the gross yield sits. Now, this is a calculation you really want to be on top of so that you can quickly analyze those deals. It's really that initial indication, because once you start to understand the numbers of your property, it gives you the confidence to be able to make sure that you're buying the right types of property once again, and not buying on emotion. Oh, this property is nice. I could see myself living here. Who's heard that one before? Oh, it's such a great location. I could see my kids taking over that property one day. It's so true that emotion often comes into property, but we really want to be making sure it's the numbers. Cool. Now, that's how we get our initial indication as to how property is tracking. But then we want to run our cash flow analysis, because cash flow is absolutely everything. We want to make sure that the property is creating an income. We don't want to be having a loss on this property. Now, the other thing I want to throw out there, and if this is confusing, all good. Like I said, we've got ways for you to make sure that you get this all under your belt. But in terms of a property, you want to make sure that that property is cash flow positive, even if you're borrowing all the money for the property. Because you can make any property cash flow. If you have no mortgage associated to it, it'll cash flow. because that there is your biggest expense. Let me show you how we run the cash flow analysis. And you definitely want to grab a photo of this one, guys, if you haven't run your cash flow before. You take your income, which is your rent. That is the income associated to the property. Just like any cash flow analysis, you always take your income first. Then we take off our expenses. Interest, the interest that we've got on the loan that we're paying for the mortgage, interest only on that one. Reasons being that we want to be smart with how we use our money to create cash flow, and I can explain that further. Mo, for those who don't know who Mo is some dude that takes 15% of your profit. The reason why it does is that it covers off our interest rate. It covers, it covers off our insurance. It covers off our maintenance. And covers off our rates. So that there is our MO, our monthly operating expenses of what it stands for. As well as that we have management fees, so covering off for a manager to be able to cover the property. Now our MO, generally you'll work to a 15% and management fees, generally working to a 10%, but generally a bit lower than that. Depending on how how many properties you got with the real estate company is something that will definitely be looked at. So that's how we run the cash flow analysis. Again, income less our expenses to get our cash flow. Let me show you an example on Ruby's property down in Invercargill that she's just recently purchased. Now this settled, I can't even say last month because it did settle in July and we're now in September. So about 6 weeks ago, this one settled that Ruby purchase. So let's go through this. First of all, our rent. Now we run this one on a monthly basis. Cash flow analysis, for me, monthly makes a lot more sense because it aligns with your monthly statements. It gives you a good running flow as to how the property is transacting. So we take our rent, which was $440 per week, multiply that by 52, divide that by 12. Our interest on the property. So this property here has 60% lending on the property. That means that 60% of the purchase was a loan. So there's interest on that, and it's at 5%. We then have our MO at 15%, management at 10%. So again, income less our expenses gives us our income at the back end of the property of $729 per week. On a nice, simple, run-of-the-mill deal, creating an extra $700 per month. Now, for some of you, that might not be exciting, but for some of you, that there is going to make a difference to your life. And that's just purely on the cash flow. That has not even looked at what the equity side of things is actually doing, purely on the cash flow. So now let's take that and run. Why are we stuck here in a second? Cool. And have a look at the next stage of it, which is the value side of it. Because I've given you the cash flow, now's the value side. So what we're looking at doing is creating an equity gain, creating a gain on the value increase of the property. The way we do that is by two simple things. First of all, make sure that we're buying it below the value of the property. And secondly, having the ability for it to be able to then add value to the property. In turn, what we've got is an equity gain. In turn, what we've got is an increase in your wealth by the property. Now that might be, a little bit like, okay, well, how do you establish those values, and how do we know what the value is? That's where an educated investor comes in and understands how they can make sure that they have the ability to understand values at purchase and what they can create. And then stage two of it is, well, they either go and they take that equity to buy another house, or if they're trading the property, they'll sell it off, make a profit, and happy days, probably go and buy themselves a new car if that's the way that they want to go down. Right now, there is a huge, huge opportunity on this space right now in the market. I can't stress that enough, guys. If you're looking to create wealth in your portfolio right now, the market is absolutely right for it, and this is an opportunity you do not want to pass on. Here's how the numbers would look on Ruby's deal based on those principles. First of all, she purchased the property at $280,000. The property at purchase had a value of $310,000. Going in and spending $30,000 on renovation took the value up to $390,000. Basically, if you look at those numbers, what she's been able to do is create $80,000 of wealth. $80,000. For most people, that's a year's worth of work, a whole year, 40 hours a week for, well, probably 46 weeks or so to earn that sort of money. So there's a huge opportunity on a low purchase price to create that sort of wealth. And this is not a unicorn deal. I literally was on the phone to Kenny before, who was at our last masterclass, and he's doing numbers on a deal that is very similar. It's actually a slightly even lower purchase price on this one as well, but similar sort of numbers. So there's opportunity. Well, Kenny's 25 years old. It's pretty epic to see what he's doing. So there's really is some good opportunities for you guys right now to be able to create that equity. So certainly is exciting. Now, I mentioned gross yield was a key factor. How about we run the numbers on Ruby's deal from a gross yield standpoint? So let's do it. First of all, we got our rent, $440 per week. We multiply that by 52 divided by 12. Multiply by 52 to get our annual rent. We then divide that by a lot, $280 million. There's a couple of extra zeros on there. She only purchased it for $280,000, so maybe don't put those extra zeros on there. Multiply that by 100 is going to give you 8.2% gross yield. Yes, I updated these slides last night, giving you guys some as much up-to-the-date stuff, and I got excited on the zeros. For reference, if you buy a property for $280 million and you're only getting $440 a week, Brent, it's a shit deal. So don't buy that. Oh, all right, let's move on to Hamish's property. That's funny. So Hamish here purchased a property which was a multi-income that's got 4 individual flats. Now, the cool thing about the numbers on this one is Hamish actually put none of his own money in this deal. He borrowed all the money from the bank using equity that he had in other property to be able to do that. Now, that's something you guys should consider. If you've got property currently that you've got a big value on it, small loan, that equity could be buying you a property like this that Hamish has been able to do. And you don't have to put in your own money and use the bank's money. Brilliant. So Hamish purchased this property for $740,000, $42,000 reno on it. So a small little reno. It's creating $24,000 of cash flow after borrowing all the money. It's so cool. And the post reno value is insane, creating $450,000 of wealth. What you could do is you could go, right, $450,000 of wealth. What's your hourly rates? And divide 450,000 divided by your hourly rate. And you might get an idea as to how many hours you would have to work to create the wealth that Hamish has been able to create in one deal. This is the sort of thing that you can use to change your life, seriously make a huge impact. And these are the sort of deals that our students are doing, which is really exciting. Now, growth is a massive benefit or great byproduct, should we say, of property. Definitely. But cash flow and equity creation is certainly the key principles I need you guys to take away from today. And you can apply this to many different strategies. These can be applied to strategies, whether it's your buy and hold, whether it's your trading, flipping, whether it's your multi-income, whether it's development. It can even be applied to owning your own home. So it's something you really want to consider, guys, is the ability to use the equity in your properties to create wealth. So if we look at the different strategies that we have in play there, or different strategy options that we've got in play, we've looked at the buy and hold, we've looked at number 2, we've looked at number 4, but there's also number 5 and 3, never mind number 1. So we cover these off in a lot of detail at the Property Masterclass, which is a 3-day event that we run, which is really epic few days. Now, the Property Masterclass, just to give you guys a few details about what it's about. It's 3 full days that we run. It's pretty intense in terms of it's all go, but at the same time we spend a lot of one-on-one time with you guys, going through individual stuff. We cover off multiple different strategies and make sure you guys leave there with a really solid plan. For those of you interested in spending time with us, I think you would highly enjoy getting a lot out of property and for different levels of investor as well. There's actually a great quote here from James about him attending the property masterclass, which is really cool to see. We love the feedback that we get out of the events. People absolutely love it. So like I mentioned before, guys, we do have the 5 different strategies, and we cover these off in a lot more detail at the masterclass. So I've shown you number 2, shown you number 4. Let's have a look at a deal which fits into the number 3 category. Now, trading property. This often comes for people as a really exciting option, because what you can do is you can create larger pockets of profit in quite a short period of time. So as well as that, I'm going to share with you guys the calculation, the second calculation, which is really important. And we're going to use this deal that Matt did from, Matt did this trade. This is based in Wanganui. He made $99,000. I always want to say $100,000 on the property. Made $99,000 of profit on this property, which is really, really cool. Matt's doing some extraordinary things. Matt, at 23 years old, has done over $10 million worth of property since he attended a masterclass. Originally from Australia, has actually moved over to New Zealand now and doing some really, really cool things. But the key thing that we want to look at from the purpose of this deal is how hard is the money actually working? How hard is money actually working? And that is known as your return on investment. How hard is your money working for you? One way I think people often relate to return on investment is thinking of it from the standpoint of if you had money in the bank. If you put your money into a term deposit, what are you getting at the moment? 2% on a good day? Actually, you can chat up, see if anybody's oh, sorry, Andrew, I missed your question there in terms of GST. That was excluding GST on the purchase price. I'm sorry, on the sale there, that profit was excluding GST. Yeah. So the return on investment, guys, is a nice way to relate it back to the money that you put in a term deposit, for example. So, if you get 2% for your money in the bank, that there is actually your return on investment. So you put $100 in the bank. After a year, you're going to have $102, and then they're going to tax you on that as well, by the way. But great return on investment, 2%. How hard is that money actually working for you? So the way we do it is we take our profits and we then divide the profit by how much we've put in to work out our return on investment. So the example I just gave you, the profit was $2, money in the deal was 100, giving you a 2% return on investment. Oof, not great. But it's a good way to look at it. Now, in terms of property, you guys should be looking at 10% minimums upwards by a long way. I'm going to show you an example, coming back to Matt's numbers once again. Let's have a look at this. So once again, he's made a purchase of $250 and a reno of $90,000 and created a $100,000 profit. I'm just going to keep rounding that up. I hope that's okay with you guys. So let's have a look at the return on investment for Matt. He's made $99,000 of profit, but his money in the deal was the reno. Let's go back to that. The reno of $90,000 and the purchase of $250,000. So $340,000 in the deal, giving him a 29% return on investment. Well, that's well over 10 times what the bank is going to give you on one transaction. But wait, it gets better, because this deal here is taking the full purchase price. What about if we look at it from a lending standpoint? Because Matt's not going to put all the money in for this property. He's going to borrow some money for the property as well as put his own in. So for the purpose of this, he did this deal with a 70% loan to value ratio. If we go back, there was a holding cost quite substantial on that property, which is this interest cost. So if Matt then put 70% of the value in from the lender and 30% of the value in as his money, that means he's put a $75,000 deposit on this property and taken a $90,000 reno, meaning he's now made $99,000 off $165,000. So his actual cash on cash return on investment is 60%. So now we're 30 times better than the bank. That's a couple of times, isn't it? But guess what? It can still get better once again, because return on investment is based on your time in the deal as well. Return on investment is based on a year's period. So if we are in a deal for less time than that, we need to take that into account with how the numbers are worked out. So this deal here, I've kept the numbers nice and simple for you guys. If this deal was done over 4 months, which is probably on the longer side for a trade, probably want to be doing it a little bit quicker than that one. If this deal was done in 4 months' time, we would actually take that 60% return on investment that we've created, $99,000 off 165, and we'd have to multiply it by 3 to create over a 12-month period, giving us 180% return on investment. We are now 90 times better than what the bank can offer you. And I bet some of you right now are going, well, what about the tax? Yeah, what about the tax? If you're making huge profits, you are going to pay tax. It's about making sure that you're tax efficient. All good to pay tax. People think I'm nuts, but I want to pay as much tax as possible. I want to be tax efficient, but I want to pay as much tax as possible because that means I'm creating the income for myself. Who wouldn't mind 180% return on investment? I would imagine a few of you. But it's funny because when we looked at the deal, you go, yeah, it made $100,000 profit. That's quite cool. But when you break it down, you can see just how hard that money is actually working for you. And to be honest, I talked about the fact that your money at the bank is getting 2%. Well, guess what? Based on the fact that you've got inflation at around 7% right now, your money in the bank is actually going backwards. It's a scary thought. Savings are going backwards. So think about where you can invest to ensure that you're getting the growth, you're getting the income, that you can ensure that you are setting yourselves up for the wealth that you deserve, which is whatever wealth means to you. Whatever wealth means to you. Now, I've talked about the fact that we don't want to rely on markets, but again, we've got 117,000 houses short nationally. We can only produce 35,000 houses a year. Immigration's about to come back in. We've got an election coming end of next year. The government is not going to want to see values drop too much because that is a negative stigma for their election coming up. There will be some changes. I would not be surprised if we see an LVR shift as well. So a few things there to definitely consider as we're going into it. Now, like I've said to you guys, we do have the masterclass. Now, for any of you that have any interest on property, I would highly recommend you guys jump in and join us for 3 days, because we are so amazingly proud of what we can create and produce and share and teach people. And we've got a hell of a team as well that joins you for the masterclass. Some of those faces may be familiar to you. I'd say probably my face should be familiar to you unless you've had your camera off the whole time, your screen off. But as well as that, Carol is joining us on this call. We've got Ryan, who is a beautiful mind when it comes to understanding markets and economies. Therese, who's doing some exceptional stuff as well. Carol, who you guys would have heard from in the chat. Paulie, who's the one who's got me those stats from the construction conference that he's just been at. He's built over 700 homes. As well as that, we've got Bella is a sensational mind, and will be there to be able to support you guys. Has gone through and bought a number of property transactions, but as well as that is unbelievably good at unlocking your full potential. And those people are there for you during the masterclass. It really is an amazing 3 days. Wealth Mentor as a whole, we've educated thousands and thousands of students. We've been fortunate enough to be featured many times in the media with all the articles that we've done because of the massive impact that we've made. Property is it's created 75% of the top 100 rich list has come through property. The opportunity through property right now is sensational. So guys, this is a great opportunity to jump in. Now the masterclass, we do have the next one coming up in just a couple of weeks. So we're talking about just coming up 23rd, 24th, and 25th of September is the next one. I might actually get Ivy, while you're here, if you can drop the link in the chat for me, that would be sensational. It saves me fluffing around trying to find the link. Link in the chat going in, guys. As well as that, for those of you that are technical and you want to grab your phone and scan that little barcode QR code that I've got there for you guys. If you do that, it'll take you through to the page. Now, we've got a great offer. So when you get there, keep listening so that I can give you guys the details on how you can make sure you can take a huge advantage of the offer that we do have for you guys today. Let me show you what the inclusions are of the masterclass. So obviously 3 days. Now you might be thinking to yourself, man, 3 days virtual, it goes by so quickly. And we have such amazing feedback from people on a virtual space. We have pretty much got this down packed where people love it, even though it's in a virtual space. You'll feel like you'll know us by the end of it. You also have a one-on-one strategy session. So that means that during that masterclass, you will sit down with our team and do your own strategy session where we can work through your situation and make sure that we can give you a bit of a plan coming out of it. You will leave there with a plan as to how you can create your wealth. Online resources, all part of it. You get full support from our team going forward. We are here for you guys as part of this, as well as that you have a strategy call with one of my team leading up to it. So it really is a whole lot of value add. And then usually this is valued at $40.97. But seeing as you're here, we have to make it completely irresistible for you guys. And we are going to be able to offer you at over $1,000 off today. Now I say over $1,000 off. For those of you that are smart, jump on and chuck that coupon code in right now, because there's an extra special discount for those of you guys that are here live with us. Give that a crack. Now, I'm going to quickly share with you guys what we cover off on the 3 days. And I'm actually going to, if you guys wouldn't mind, I'm going to grab Mitch after I share with you guys 3 days. I'm just going to ask Mitch a couple of questions, because he was on the last masterclass. Actually, even Andrew was as well. There's a couple of you that were as well. So even if you guys don't chuck in the chat what you thought of it, that would be really, really cool. But 3 days, guys, the first day really is setting it all up. It's going through the fundamentals, making sure you guys know the numbers. I've given you just a little teaser on the numbers, a little taste. You know, it's a little entree. Let's get the main course, make sure you guys have all the details as to how to run your numbers, market analysis. Ryan will be doing a session for you guys on how you run, how you understand the market, what's happening in the market, what he's seeing, some real key fundamentals, the mindset of an investor, making sure you guys are starting to shift into that investor mode. And we're going to give you some buying rules. You're going to leave with rules that you have to stick to in order to make sure that you can create the wealth. There's also a little bit of an extra special thing that we have on day one. And we're going to be able to show you how to make money out of thin air. Yeah, I had to have a drink of water to pause for effect. Yes, we are going to magic. And Carol is the magician that is going to create some magic for you guys on day one, how you can create money out of thin air. It's a pretty cool concept. So you definitely want to jump on that one. There's the first day really is a good eye-opener for you guys. And I'm so confident that you guys will love day one so much that if you get to the end of day one, you're like, Jono, you know what? I didn't get what I hoped out of it. I'll give you your money back. No worries. Not a question asked, because we have never actually done that. We've never had to refund anyone's money because we know how good it is. We just need to get you guys there so you can see how good it is. Day two, we start to get into some of those more advanced sort of strategies, boarding houses, trading. I spend like an hour on trading property. I get super excited about this session, how we can make sure you guys are getting those 180% return on investments. And amazing ways that you guys can create this wealth. Strategies, we'll talk about finance. Where do we find the money for these deals? And how can we maybe even do it with other people's money? You don't need your own money to buy real estate. That's one of the key principles as well. We play a game on day two as well. The game is such a laugh. You're going to probably get a little bit frustrated with us, but you're going to learn so many great lessons that is better to learn in a game than in the real life. So we'll go through that for you guys as well. Day three is really where it kind of pulls it all together. You know, development strategy, social housing, which Carol does, and it's a great section. You guys will learn a lot from that one. Negotiation, show you guys a few little tips and tricks on how to negotiate well. And then I know that you guys love it, but we do an hour on tax. An hour on tax. Yeah, that's right. A whole hour on taxes where we make sure that you guys have the knowledge that you guys need to be able to make sure you are running a tax efficient business that is keeping you safe and creating a legacy for you and your kids. Now, Mitch, I might grab you now quickly, my friend, if you are cool with that. You unmute yourself.
Hello.
And
good morning, everyone.
hey, thanks for jumping in today.
Of course.
Brilliant. So I've got a couple of questions for you, and I did write them down, so I was prepared for this. Now I just got to find them. Give me 1 second. I was prepared, and then I wasn't. Awesome. Cool. So one of the things that I think people are always unsure about is, as the masterclass, should you be coming in if you are an amateur investor or an experienced investor? Who do you think it really fits for?
I think the masterclass is whether you're brand new to property, especially if you're brand new to property investing, or if you've been in the game for a period of time. It's just got a whole heap of value for everyone. It's got gold nuggets everywhere, and the content is so thorough. It's like the ultimate crash course, I would say.
I like that. Write that one down, somebody. That was good. Cool. So what was your favorite topic, or what topics really resonate for you during the masterclass?
Yeah, quite a few. I thought the market condition was always good. It's good to be in touch. Whether you've, if for example, like myself, I might not have been in touch for the last year or so, getting that market condition updates, refresher on what the current conditions are doing. Ryan's section was absolutely phenomenal on that. Going through the numbers again, the different strategies, looking at the deals is always very inspirational to see what students are doing. And I thought my personal favorite part was definitely playing the property game. That was a bit of teamwork involved. It's like a great simulation of what property buying would be like in the real world, and it's amazing to see how different teams come up with different sale prices. So yeah, fantastic game.
Don't give too much away, but absolutely, there's a lot of
no secrets.
All right, last question, my friend. Anybody on this call that's contemplating whether they should spend 3 days? Now, I realize that it's a massive commitment, 3 days. What would you say to those people that are contemplating whether they should come and join us for 3 days?
Yeah, I think education is definitely for myself, what I learned is education is absolutely the key, and it's a fundamental to unlocking really, the secrets of property investing and wealth. So it's a no-brainer. Invest in yourself and really invest in that time. You will see the rewards later down the track.
Oh, mate. Brilliant. And thank you so much for jumping in. I know that you're jumped in a little bit early because you are based over in Melbourne, but thank you so much for joining us. And guys, if you've got any questions for Mitch, even click him a private message while you guys are on live here. I'm just going to actually read, Andrew's put a comment in the chat there for which I'd love to quickly jump on. It was a very useful, enjoyable 3 days where certainly did learn lots as someone who had previous experience. Absolutely. Andrew has done some really cool things with investing, but still managed to learn a whole heap, which is cool. As well as that, Kenny, who I mentioned was on the last masterclass, is probably at the complete other end of things, had never even looked at a property before and is going on and is making some exceptional offers now. So it's really cool to see what people are able to do out of the masterclass. Now, guys, remember, I have given you guys a link and I have given you the QR code. Make sure you chuck in that discount code deal. That will only last a little bit longer. But there's another thing I'd love to be able to add for you guys. Now, this ticket is not for just you. You get to bring a partner along as well for free. So you and a partner come along and spend 3 days at Changing Your Wealth. And you know what? That means you get all of this that I've talked about before included. And usually at $49.97, we're going to do it. That's the special deal for those of you that have gone through and had a look. 2 of you at only $295. It really is a absolute opportunity that you guys do not want to pass up. Now, the dates, for those of you going, you know what, John, I can't make those dates in just a couple of weeks. The good thing is we've got 2 more masterclasses after that, October and November. We've got these running on a regular basis so that we can make sure we can get you guys in there. So if the dates are an issue, please let us know and we'll be able to sort you guys out on some of the future dates that we do have in there. This is really an opportunity for you guys now to change your headspace, to change your knowledge, to be able to make sure that you are learning from people who are where you want to be. You heard from Mitch, you heard from Andrew. It's a really, really epic 3 days, and I cannot wait to have you guys joining us on the 3 days. Again, don't forget that coupon code DEAL. If you want to scan there to be able to get those details, please feel free. Chuck in the code DEAL. That deal code DEAL will expire at the $2.95 at 11:30 New Zealand time. So you don't have long on that one, and then it'll be heading back to the $4.95, guys. So you need to jump on that one as soon as you can. Again, if the September dates don't work, we've got other options. I realize that a couple of you may have some questions around the masterclass. So what we will do now that we're getting towards the end, guys, I realize the time now to drip into it and join us on the event. But if you do have any questions, I'll hang around in the chat. So please let us know in the chat if you do have any questions. But otherwise, I cannot wait to get to share with you guys the knowledge. I cannot wait to bring a team forward for you guys that you're going to absolutely love, so you can start to shift your knowledge and be able to become that investor and create the wealth that you guys want to create. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us today. Yes, that link expires at 11:30 a.m. Not PM. Thank you, Ivy. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to be able to share. I hope that you've taken some things away and you're going to learn a whole lot more at the masterclass. Have a fantastic day. And as always, guys, make sure that you stay awesome. Good day.